Welcome to MTG Friends. This is Ryan, and we're going to do a Commander deck tech out one of these bad boys. Szarekh the Silent King. This is a pre-con out of the Warhammer 40k batch of commanders. Now, I know it is overwhelming. MTG, Wizards of the Coast, Papa Hasbro, as Rudy likes to call it, has really been pumping out this crap like there is no tomorrow. But there is a tomorrow. There is a light at the end of the tunnel, and it is not a train. Why do I think this? I don't know. Put it in the comments so we can have a longer discussion about that. Anywho, Szarekh the Silent King. Let's do a deck tech on this thing. It is a legendary artifact creature, Necron. Now, the pre-con was Necron, this, that, and the other thing, constant Necron. But we pulled this away from Tribal and went really hardcore artifact. You'll see what I mean in this build. This is going to be super fun. It is in mono black. So let's jump right in. What does this thing do? What does it do? Whenever Szarekh the Silent King attacks, mill 3 cards. You may put an artifact, creature card, or vehicle. And in this build, we just do not give a crap about vehicles. So this is all about artifacts, yo. Card from among the card milled this way into your hand. Technically speaking, vehicles are artifacts. Okay, you know what's up. And if you don't, well, you're watching this, and let's have this fun little journey together. All right, as usual, MTG Friends, like the stuff, join our clan of awesomeness. All right, Szarekh, we got some packages. Packages, man. We got some removal. The land package is basically what you'd think. We actually, for extra funsies, put in Tron. Fun. We could easily pull out Tron. But there's enough artifacts where it might be groovy. Artifact creatures where I just couldn't put them anywhere else. Shenanigans, right? Yeah. No, because we have our own shenanigans. Shenanigans right over here. See shenanigans. Mana sinks. A few draw pieces. Not as much draw as I would like, but we also have some tutors as well. A good amount of graveyard play. Very little protection. And a whole lot of ramp is going on. Maybe a little too much ramp, but you know what? We liketh the ramp. We're running the normal amount of creatures in our stats. Let's take a look at the stats, shall we? We got 29 creatures. Typically, you want 30, 35. We're running a little low just because we're ramping. We got shazizzle amount of artifacts. Very few sorceries. So if you're feeling a little light on the sorceries, that's okay. We can go ahead and swap some of those out. Anyways, I will mention some swappable cards in this build. So let's just start right up with Imhotep. I believe this is made the cut for keeping it in the pre-con. Oh, we should probably say what we're trying to do here. What just happened? We're not even going to edit any of that out. We're mainly just going to make the artifact creatures and art. What is happening here? Boom, boom, shalaka. All right. We're back on track, peeps. We're back on track. All right. You know what? I just sort of just meandered and mumbled my way through that. Let's just get back to it. All right, a Necron that made the cut. Fakron, whatever. Whenever one or more artifact cards leave your graveyard, create 2/2/2 Necron warrior artifact creatures. That's fine. Grand Strategist. At the beginning of combat on your turn, another target artifact creature you control gets +2/+2 and gains menace. I like the fact that it has menace. So, you know, it's not quite a vanilla creature. It does all sorts of crap for 4. It is a 3/3 for 4, but it does all sorts of stuff, and it synergizes, and it's an artifact creature. All right, Steel Overseer is super bueno with artifact creatures. Put a 1/1 counter on each artifact creature you control. Need I say more? That thing makes total sense in this. I just love me some Wormcoil Engine. It's a 6/6 for 6 Death Touch lifelink. If it gets Whack-A-Mole, you get a 3/3 Death Toucher and a 3/3 lifelinker. Need speak more of it. This one is from the pre-con as well. A spider. Who doesn't love spiders? Does cost 5. That's okay for 4/4. Fabricator, Claw Array. Whenever another non-token artifact, creature, or vehicle enters the battlefield under your control, draw a card. Draw, draw, draw. Thank you very much. Mind's Eye for draw. Whenever an opponent draws a card, you may pay 1 if you do draw a card. Staff of Domination for 5. Draw a card. You can do some other stuff, but, you know, we don't really care about the other stuff so much. All right, we got some graveyard play because the way our commander dumps crap into the graveyard, we want to be able to reanimate if so desired. We can reanimate with Animate Dead, our creatures, or our opponent's creatures. Beacon of Unrest. Onto the benefit of a artifact creature card from A. This is also a graveyard, not our graveyard. This one also grabs creatures out of the graveyard. All right, Crucible Worlds is in here because we are going to be dumping a good amount of stuff into our graveyard. So let's be able to play lands from our graveyard. Yes. Yes, indeed. You know what's up. Dread Return for 4. Return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. And it's got flashback. Why? Sacking 3 creatures. Dread Return's pretty good. Probably a swappable card if you just don't feel like adding this many reanimate spells. Entomb dumps specific cards into our graveyard so we can reanimate. Junk Diver. Whenever Junk Diver dies, return another target artifact card from your graveyard to your hand. Must include in this kind of a build. Must, must, must. Living Death for 5 from the pre-con. Each player exiles all creature cards from their graveyard, then sacrifices all creatures they control, then puts all cards they exiled away onto the battlefield. Do I need to say that slower? Or did that make sense? You exile players, all creatures from their graveyard. Yeah, so they're gone. They're in exile. Then sacrifice all the creatures they control. Gonzo. Then puts all the cards in the graveyard onto the battlefield. This is great for what our commander's doing. All right, Mirror Retriever. When it dies, return another target artifact card from your graveyard to your hand. So we're just going to keep reanimating stuff. Lots and lots. Reanimate! The 1-drop. Don't forget that you do lose life for its converted mana cost, whatever you go grab out of a graveyard and put onto the battlefield. Under your control. This was in the pre-con as well. I thought it was strong enough to leave. Equipped creature has lifelink. Whenever a equipped creature dies, return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. This one, total swappable card if you so desire. Scarecrow for 3. You can sack a Scarecrow, draw a card. We don't really care about that part. But for 4, return target artifact creature card from your graveyard to play. Boom. Right there, folks. Right there. Scrap Trawler. Whenever Scrap Trawler or another artifact you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, return to your hand target artifact. You get the theme here, right? Right? Keep bringing those artifacts back. Keep bringing them. Oh, and if that wasn't bad enough, Sir Conrad the Grim. When another creature dies or a creature card is put into a graveyard from anywhere other than the battlefield, or a creature leaves, reanimate, you got it. Sir Conrad the Grim deals 1 damage to each opponent. So badass. So badass in this kind of a build. And then 2, you can have each player mill a card, which is fine. That's also fine. That can win you games in the end, absolutely, for surezies. A little bit more graveyard play. This was in the pre-con. Technomancer for 7. I do not like that this costs 7. When Technomancer enters the battlefield, mill 3 cards, then return any number of artifact creature cards with total mana value of 6 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Because we get to reanimate stuff, I find this acceptable. And we are leaving it in. All right, we're going to blast through the land package because it's pretty much what you'd expect except for Tron in here. Ancient Tomb, we know what this does. Taps for 2, deals 2 damage. Dark Depths. Oh, I just felt like we needed this in here because we do have some mana sink capability. For anybody new to this stuff, mana sink just means lots and lots of extra mana that we can dump into things like this. For 3, remove an ice counter from Dark Depths. Comes in with 10. When it has no ice counters, you get a 20/20 black avatar creature token with flying named Merit Lage into play. This is such a hilarious card. Wins games, folks. Wins games. Darksteel Citadel, indestructible, add colorless. Reliquary Tower, because there's ways where we can start getting lots and lots of cards. Swamps, mostly swamps. Tekanuma, Abandoned Mire. This is great from Neon Dynasty. You can channel it, which means it can't be countered. The ability, the triggered ability, not triggered, the ability can be countered, but I mean, counterspell and those normal stuff can't counter channel effects. You discard it and mill 3 cards, and then you return a creature or planes card from your graveyard to your hand. And don't forget that with these ones in the colors, it costs 1 less to activate for each legendary creature you control. So don't short yourself on this. It could actually end up costing a lot less than 4 because you probably have legendary things out. Temple of the False God, add 2. Activate only if you control 5 or more lands. This card is totally swappable for something else. My buddy Andrew hates this card. I like this card, especially in this kind of a build. So yeah, keep it in. This one makes more sense with ramp stuff like in green, like Cultivate, and where you're going to be dumping extra lands and getting to that required 5 or more lands quicker than your opponents. I digress. Yes, I do. All right, we got Urza's Tron going on. If you have all 3 out, then you get a tappy tap for a 3/3/2. Pretty badassery. Urza's Mine, Urza's Power Plant, and Urza's Saga as well. And then Urza's Tower. So it really lets you start mana sinking. And we have a couple ways of fetching Tron, plus being able to pull Tron out of the graveyard if so desired with Crucible. So we have a few shenanigans going on. Urza Saga's in here because it's just quite frankly badassery. It's Urza's going to search your library for an artifact card with mana cost 0 or 1, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. The 3 part of the saga is super fragilistic, expialidociously awesome. That was right off the fly. That was awesome, if I don't say so myself. All right, artifact land, Vault of Whispers, tap for black. Artifact lands. All right, for mana sinks. Sanguinate is a badass one. X black. Each opponent loses X life. You gain life equal to the life lost this way. Notice it's each opponent. So even if you do a mere, like say, 2. Like if it was black, X is 2, that's still 2, 4, 6 life if you have 3 opponents. But you're probably going to be sinking more than just 2X. Steel Hellkite, another great one for mana sink if so desired. It does cost 6 to get out there, but it's also a 5/5 beater in the air. For 2, Steel Kite gets +1, so that's also awesome. The X, destroy each non-land permanent with mana value X whose controller was dealt combat damage by Steel Hellkite this turn. Activate only once each turn. It does have to do damage, so the X part is not as awesome, but it's really good for mass removal of what you desire. Torment of Hailfire wins you games, folks. It wins you games, or at least makes you chuckle a little bit. Won't necessarily... Man, my nose itches. Why is my nose itch? Itch. All right, back on task. Torment of Hailfire. X black. Repeat the following. So if X is 10, for example, which would be super hilarious, you repeat it 10 times. Each opponent loses 3 life unless they sack a non-land permanent or discard a card. So this is really one of those cards that gets out of hand real quick if you can dump a lot. And it doesn't get countered. I mean, you know, those blue players. Walking Ballista, another mana sink. Walking Ballista enters the battlefield with X 1/1 counters on it. Put a 1/1 counter on Walking Ballistas, or you can remove the 1 ones for damage. Damage to any target. Alright, we don't really have much protection going on. Darksteel Forge here. Artifacts you control have indestructible. Boom. So, unless you got some mass exile, this is going to really help out. Yes, indeedly do. And the other thing to mention is when you pull this deck out and you haven't played it before, they're not going to know what kind of direction you've taken this precon in. They're going to know it's a precon. But you're going to be like, ha ha, not a precon anymore. I tell you what. What do you tell me? I don't know. What are you telling me, man? Warhammer 40k and Rakir the Traveler, or however you want to say that. For 5, it's a 4/4 legendary artifact, Necron. Whenever it attacks, you may cast an artifact spell from your hand or graveyard by paying life equal to its mana value rather than paying its mana cost. We're cool with that. We're cool with that. I like that. Arcane Signet. Do we need to discuss that? No. Basalt Monolith. I actually pulled out a couple of like huge, like Mana Crypt I put in the sideboard in case you don't have it. I put, I think, Lotus on the sideboard because, you know, drop the overall cost of this deck by a couple hundy. But anyways, Basalt Monolith is also good, especially with the untappy capabilities of some other things. I believe we have the infinite. Do we have infinite in here? I can't remember. We'll check. We'll go on this journey together. So Basalt Monolith, really great, really useful. Let's see. Cabal Ritual, add 3. To your mana pool, add 5 if you have 7 or more cards in your graveyard, which will be super likely. Cityscape Leveler. This is right out of Brothers War. This thing is hilarious, and I just really wanted to play it because I think it's funny, and you can unearth it. When it attacks, destroy up to 1 target non-land permanent. Its controller creates a tap Power Stone token with unearth. Dark Ritual, add 3 for 1. All right, Expedition Map is in here to go fetch Tron, sacrifice it, go search your library for a land card. Foundry Inspector makes artifacts, spells cost 1 less. Gilded Lotus, this is a totally swappable card. You could swap this out if you don't want it. We're in a monocolor, so therefore add 3 mana of any one color is very cool for us. Cost 5 to get it on the playfield, so hopefully we're ramping up to that. Yes. Hedron Archive for 4. You can tap for 2, sack it, and draw 2 cards. Does double duty. I would say keep this in there. Illuminor Zaraz, maybe Zaraz. For 3, sacrifice another creature, add an amount of black equal to the sacrificed creature's mana value. Totally swappable card. Giora's Familiar for 4. Flying 2/2. Historic spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Those include artifacts and legendaries and even sagas if you so desire. Crack Clan Ironworks. Sacrifice an artifact, add 2 to your mana pool. So you could be sacking Power Stones. You could be sacking all sorts of stuff if so needed for some extra oomph in mana sink. Leaden Mirror, add black to your mana pool. Mana Vault is in here. You could have something else in here if you want, but this one's pretty good. It doesn't untap during an untap step. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may pay 4 if you do untap it. At the beginning of your draw step, if Mana Vault is tapped, it deals 1 damage. We know what this does, right? And you can tap for 3 mana. Not too shabby. Mycosynth Golem. Affinity for artifacts. Costs 1 less per. This one is really funny to drop quickly. It's got affinity, so you should be able to play this real easy. If you're not feeling it, just not feeling it, and you don't like that artifact, that artwork, and you're just like poo-poo to Mr. Gollum here, well then swap it out. Not a big deal. Not a big deal, man. Technically, it's not ramp, but you know why it's in there, right? Right. Palladium Mirror, add 2 for 3. Soul Ring, fetchable by Urza Saga, by the way, which you probably already knew. Pretty badass. Solemn Simulacrum. Drop it like it's hot onto the battlefield, and you get to go search for a land, basic land. So you can't Tron it up with this. When it dies, draw a card. Songs of the Damned. I almost cut this. Add black for each creature card in your graveyard. But because of what our commander does, this could fetch us a lot of black, even early on, possibly. Sword of the Animus. Put this onto a creature, smack somebody with it, and go grab yourself a swamp. And it comes in tapped. Thran Dynamo, add 3 for 4. All right, we got some removal. Damnation, destroy all creatures. Deadly Riddick, Deadly Riddick, Rollick. If you control your commander, cost you nothing, exile target creature. So this does go against our whole graveyard play and reanimate stuff, but sometimes you just gotta exile creature. And this is such a fabulous, fabulous card. All right, Defile. Target creature gives -1 until end of turn for each swamp you control, which will be a lot of swamps. Necron Deathmark for 5. When it enters the battlefield, destroy up to 1 target creature and target player mills 3 cards. So you might have a situation where you want to mill yourself, but destroy up to 1 target creature and target player mills. No, never mind. Ignore what I just said. They mills 3 cards because you're not going to destroy one of your own creatures, are you? No. Portal of Phyrexia. When portal to, I think this is like one of only 2, maybe 3 cards we have outside of the precon that's also Brothers War. Don't hold me to that, but it's not a ton. When portal to Phyrexia enters the battlefield, each opponent sacrifices 3 creatures. That's so badass. It does cost 9. At the beginning of your upkeep, put target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. It's a Phyrexian in addition to its other types. Now, I don't want to get in the habit of just reading the card to you and then not explaining, but this seems pretty self-explanatory. We do have a lot of ramp and mana sink capabilities, and this thing, sack stuff, and we got a lot of reanimation, and Sir Conrad's going to be smiling if you get this thing out on the board, and it's out on the board as well. You get it. You got it. Good. Destroy all non-artifact creatures. The name is Death. The name is Death. That artwork was so cool with the green hues and stuff. Super awesome. All right, Blightsteel Colossus artifact. I shoehorned this in. It is in the shenanigans category. It's such an hilarious card. We do have ways of fetching up artifacts. Oh, I just love this card. In fact, I must show you my screen. I don't think there's anything here that tells you anything. Is Blightsteel Colossus, and it has been for a very long time. Love Blightsteel Colossus, the artwork, everything about it. Trample, Infect, Indestructible. If it would be put into a graveyard from anywhere, it gets shuffled in owner's library instead. So that's the one downside, is you can't grab it from the graveyard, but if you could grab this from the graveyard, that would be so bananas ridiculous. It would probably be banned. I mean, this is just a win in a 11/11 infect creature. And in case you guys don't know or don't remember, 10 infection poison counters, infect counters on an opponent, and they lose the game. So you swing with this thing and you hit, they lose. Darksteel Colossus, also an artifact. Column. Indestructible, and it would also go back in your library if it would hit the graveyard from anywhere. And keep in mind, notice the wording of this. It doesn't actually go to the graveyard first. So there you have it. Oh, Mindslaver Shenanigans, how I love and hate thee. For 6, 4, sacrifice Mindslavers. You control target player's next turn. Just jankalicious fun right there. I mean, I'm taking a purposeful pause in this to just hallelujah for Mindslaver. Moving on. Mystic Forge. You may look at the top card of your library anytime. You can cast artifact spells and color spells from the top of your library. Pay 1 life, exile the top card of your library. Now, that needs no explanation. This is just very good top decking crap and filtering, and you got it. Platinum Angel is in here because it's jank, and I love jank. Who doesn't love a little bit of jank? And it's an artifact. I mean, there you have it. You can't lose the game, and your opponents can't win the game. So you got this out, and you got Darksteel out, making all of your artifacts indestructible. Then they're going to have to Plowshares this thing or Path to Exile this thing. Yeah, you got it. You got it. Shards of the Nightbringer. This was in the Precon. Such cool flippin' artwork. God, so awesome. This thing costs so much. 5 black, black, black. It's an 8/8 flyer, which is so crazy. A Catan. When enters the battlefield, if you cast it, target opponent loses half their life. Rounded up, you gain life equal to the life lost this way. This is totally a swappable card. I just think it's funny and hilarious, and there's a good chance we'll have the mana to put it out on the battlefield. So why not? But again, this one's a totally swappable card. Shard of the Void Dragon, 4 black, black, black. Another just shenanigan-y card. Oh, there you go. It's in shenanigans. Whenever Shard of the Void Dragon attacks, each opponent sacrifices non-land permanent. Matter Absorption. Whenever an artifact is put into a graveyard from the battlefield or is put into exile from the battlefield, put 2/1/1 counters. Yeah, this thing is crazy. 2/1/1 counters on Shard of the Void. So if you get this thing out and it sticks, 1, you get to look at the really cool artwork, and 2, your opponents are probably scooping. More shenanigans! Unwinding Clock. Oh, I just cracked one of these in a pack yesterday as of this recording. Actually, with my winnings from draft yesterday as of this recording. Untap all artifacts you control during each other player's untap step. Yes. Because, yeah, this was in... Yeah, I'm not mixing this with it. Yeah. Yeah, that one. Ah! What happened? Was that shenanigans? Yeah, that was shenanigans. All right. To tutor. Tutor. Boop. All right. Demonic Tutor. Speaking of tutors. Cost you 2. Put it in your hand. Doesn't get much better than that. Cool Dotha Forge Master to go tutor up an artifact card like Blightsteel. Yes. Or Darksteel. Whichever. Sacrifice 3 artifacts. Search your library for an artifact card and put it on the battlefield. Then shuffle your library. So badass. Planner Bridge for 6. Search your library for a permanent card. Put it onto the battlefield. Then shuffle. That is such a ridiculous card. Does cost you 6 to get out. And then 8 to go fetch some crap. So it's cost you. It's going to cost you. That would be a sucky one to have in your opening hand. Boo to that. Vampiric Tutor, go search up a card, put it on top of your deck at instant speed. You lose 2 life. All right, and then we got their sideboard. What? So all of the sideboard is the stuff that was in the pre-con and a few other things that just didn't make the mother effing cut. So I believe you will have a ton of fun in Mono Black with Szarekh, the Silent King. I really like this synergized build. It's very, very different than the pre-con and what they were going for there. So I think you like it. Thanks for tuning in. Check out our other stuff. Thanks for being part of MTG Friends. What? Peace out and check out our other stuff. Later.